Hello, Internet. Welcome to the first episode of season 2 for Chai and Chill. And today I have with us author, YouTuber, and influencer Purva Chakraborty. Welcome to Chai and Chill. And thank you so much for joining me today. And as you know, the first thing that we do is
Thank
the
you
beat.
so much.
This I actually stole from my roommate. It says chill.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me, Anisha. And I'm looking forward to this amazing conversation on Chai and Chill. This is my chai mug. Yeah.
It's adorable.
It's like how to make a masala chai. Yeah.
Okay, the first things first. So we know each other from Calcutta, and I know you as a blogger and a writer. What made you decide to become a writer?
Yeah. Okay, so I think the main reason is the desire for free expression, and I think the allure of telling stories. I think during my growing up years, like when I was a teenager, I really struggled with this thing of expressing myself freely. So somewhere I felt that my voice was always getting stifled. So writing stories or writing poetry gives me that outlet of expressing myself, and I think that I am my truest self when I'm writing. So yeah, that's the reason I decided to be a writer all my life.
When I was prepping for the Chai and Chill session, I went on Amazon and I was trying to figure out which book came first, which book was the recent release, and I got a little lost. So tell me a little bit about the books that you've written.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my writing journey started back in 2012. So I wrote my first novel, Walking in the Streets of Love and Destiny, which was like a triangle love story. Then I wrote my second novel, The Hidden Letters, which is like a suspense drama. After that, I ventured into poetry and wrote The Heart Listens to No One, which is a collection of love poems. Then I wrote Canvas of a Mind, another novel, which is a psychological thriller. After that, I wrote two poetry books. One is Letters from the Soul, where I experimented with 26 poetry forms. And then finally, Mythological Monologues, which came this year, where I wrote dramatic monologues of characters from Ramayana and Mahabharata. So yeah, that's pretty much my writing journey.
People tell me that I write a lot of books, they should meet you.
No, you have written far more books than me.
I also do a lot of books, so maybe that is why. The other thing is, this is a very hard question. The next question is, if I ask you to pick your favorite, would you be able to do it? It's like trying to pick your favorite child.
Yeah, it is very difficult actually. Whenever someone asks me, I am like, okay, this. But right now, I will say that Mythological Monologues, because first of all, it came out this year, so I remember that book very well. So yeah, this one, I'm also showing it, doing a little bit of promotion. Yeah.
Do it. I'm going to put the links to all your books anyway.
First of all, it was so sweet. Because first of all, it was very different from what I had written earlier. And I got to get under the skin of these characters from Ramayana and Mahabharata and try to just write what they were going through during that time. So I really had fun doing it. So yeah, this book.
So tell me a little bit about your writing process, and at the same time I would also want to ask you that you participated in National Novel Writing Month and you won. Congratulations. So how was that different from your usual writing process?
Very different. Because when I take a writing project, I take my time, 4 months, 6 months, whenever I take a novel. Yeah, I take my time and do it in 4 months at least. So, but this time it was so challenging because I had to write 50,000 words in 1 month, which is an average of 1667 words daily. And obviously with the regular job that we have, right? Yep. So it was crazy. I think I was quite irritable. I was always having lots and lots of tea and having sleepless nights and literally going crazy. But yeah, when the month ended, I felt so happy that I have the first draft of my sports novel. Yeah, it felt great.
So the person who started NaNoWriMo actually said that you cannot edit a blank page. So just write and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. See, I think that's the idea of NaNoWriMo, that just write. Even if you know that what you're writing is really utter horrible shit, and maybe you're going to edit each and every sentence later, then also write. So I think that was the goal, not to go back and see if it makes sense. I think even if there is a plot, like there is a loop in the plot, then also don't go back. Just make notes, and later you can come to it. It was crazy, really. It was like really crazy.
No, I can understand. I did it once, way back, and then I've never been able to do it.
Yeah.
I mentioned that we met each other in blogging events and in I think Writers Melon ka some event we had met. So
yeah, Doodle Room, hai na? We
yes,
met.
the jukebox. I think it was the jukebox. Yes, I do remember that.
Jukebox.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my question to you is: so you've been a blogger, you've been a author. Do you find similarities when you blog and when you write stories, or do you find them to be very different from each other, like chalk and cheese?
No, I really find them quite similar, and the reason I started my blog was this only, so that I can just write more. I can write like flash fiction and write more poetry and do those blogging challenges. Like every Friday there is a prompt and you can write a small fiction on it, and then write a little bit about my travel and movie reviews, book reviews, anything that comes to my mind. So yeah, and there were so many times when what I wrote on my blog, later I improved it, improvised it, and made it into a book. So I have done it so many times. So my blog is like that experimental zone where I just experiment, and then I use my best works, and then I try to convert them into a book. So yeah, both the things, blogging and writing, for me they are very similar. Yeah. What about you?
I actually started blogging for the same reason as you, because I wanted to write more and I wasn't getting I don't have the discipline to write books. So suddenly, and I'm very grateful that I have a lot of people who force me to write at least one book every year. So this year I have completed the quota, so they are not after my life anymore. But yeah, I started blogging for the same reason. I wanted to write more. Plus, when we started blogging, especially blogging was a huge thing. We used to have events and there were so many other things happening constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Like back when there was indie blogger, blogging was huge that time.
There was indie blogger, there was Blog Adda, and I think all of them
Blog Adda, yeah. And Blog Adda was also so much active that time. They used to pick posts, and so many contests used to go around. And now I don't know, where are they? Indie blogger is not there. Blog Adda is also, I think, almost not there. So it's really sad. I really feel sad.
The other thing I really like about, I used to enjoy about blogs were the book reviews and the whole book blogging world, which apparently has now come to Instagram and it has become a bookstagramming world.
Yeah, totally. Everything has now come to Instagram. Everything. Even... Yeah, I mean, all the bloggers that earlier used to write amazing posts. Now even I see they are also doing Instagram and writing long captions. So yeah.
There's a debate which says that people don't read the captions. They only tap the pictures. So a lot of times you'll see people write it and take screenshots and put it up as a picture so that people at least read.
Seriously. That is so sad. But I have seen that. I've seen many of my friends who don't even read the caption. They just like it. And then when I say, have you read what I wrote? So really? You wrote something like this? We had no idea. So I have faced it a lot. Yeah.
I have experienced that as well. I have put up posts, long posts with the picture. People have only liked the picture, and the comments that they have put has nothing to do with what I have written. So they just assume, they look at the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Very pretty.
Yeah, and they comment based on the picture. They have nothing to do with what is written. So true.
you already are an author. You have been a blogger. You have been an influencer, and then recently you started teaching people literature on YouTube. How did that come about?
Yeah, right. So I think last year it happened. Last year I started my channel Learning Literature with Purva. I think I started it after clearing NET exam, UGC NET. I just wanted to do something with all the notes and everything that I was studying. So that time only I took this decision that if I clear it, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. So that was how it started. But then I really enjoyed the process so much. And then I thought that maybe someday I can start an online or offline academy where I can teach NET aspirants or something like that. So yeah, then I started taking it really seriously. And once YouTube monetized my channel, I think that really motivated me and took me to like cloud nine. Yeah, and I took it really seriously. Yeah.
But you are making literature so much easier for everybody. I'm sure people not only from India but kids who are studying this abroad, they are like, oh, let me go check how to buy. This is and you're teaching it in a very easy way, so it's accessible for everyone.
Yeah, and especially I saw that in this pandemic situation when people cannot go to college and school. So I think people really found it very helpful because I got so many comments where people were saying that we can't go to college but these lectures are really helping them. So that really felt good, yeah.
Again, we are going to ask you a hard question, which is, do you have a favorite episode?
Whenever I shoot an episode, I feel this is going to be epic. I am going to get plenty of views for this one. So yeah, every episode that I shoot with this intention that this will be the best episode of my life. This will cross this many views, will be epic, will be viral and whatnot. But obviously that does not happen. But I think I really enjoyed making the video on Shakespeare's Hamlet. Yeah, because Hamlet is my favorite play, from long back, yeah. So that's why I really enjoyed making that episode, shooting that episode and talking about the play. Yeah.
Now you're contributing to literature and you're also teaching literature. So do you have a preference, or which would you, if you had to choose? I'm not saying you need to, but if you had to choose, which one would it be, or both have the same importance?
That is so difficult to choose. But yeah, just for the fun of it. Yeah, I think contributing to literature, that is incomparable. I cannot compare that to teaching literature. Obviously, enjoy teaching it, teaching the amazing work which I enjoyed studying. But contributing to literature, creating new work, that is something that is so amazing. I'm leaving a part of me behind, even if I die tomorrow or whenever. So that's leaving a part of me, yeah. So definitely contributing to literature will always have the preference, yeah.
And I can't believe this. Finally, if there's one thing that you really want to do in the literary world, what would it be?
There are so many things actually that I dream of doing. I really like that book club thing which you are doing. I really miss it so much. Seriously, I remember in 2017, I think December. Yeah. That was so amazing. I really miss it.
We miss it too. We wanted to do something virtual,
something online.
Yeah. Because of the pandemic, and I couldn't go home at all this year because of the pandemic. So.
Oh, okay. So the entire year you were away from Kolkata.
Yep.
Yeah.
My clothes should have given it away because you're in your jacket. Is it cold?
A little bit, yeah. I feel cold.
Everybody's been putting up posts from Calcutta saying it's sweater weather, and I miss it because Bombay is so hot.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
so another thing that I would really like to do is, give courses on creative writing and also on English literature. So yeah, create that kind of a literary academy of sorts. Yeah, that is something I really want to do.
Yeah, that is something I feel as well, that there is not enough resources for us, especially in India, to hone our creative writing skills. Because I remember when I was a child, I had to constantly go on the internet and figure out how to do how to develop characters, how to develop plot. Like I wish there was somebody who was teaching me. Like, there are certain things which are very technical when you're writing stories and somebody needs to teach it to you.
Exactly. That like makes it so much easier. Even I like learned during my writing journey only everything. So there is like no one who's like teaching it that way. So therefore I think that if I could do something like that, then it would be really great. I did a course from IGNOU, like a diploma in creative writing in English, but they really teach it well. But I feel like who has the time, to do like a full-fledged course? But like a simple course, maybe that will attract people who want to like really take their craft seriously. So yeah, something like that.
There are 1 or 2 day workshops, but in the long run, they don't really help. Because I remember doing them from the British Council. They didn't really help me.
Yeah, British Council workshops. Yeah. What are those workshops like?
I did an advanced one, which was for a day, and then they teach you basically very simple tricks and tips it was a short story writing workshop. So one thing I remember learning from there is they said that always end your short story with a twist. Do not make it predictable.
Yeah, that's really nice advice. Yeah.
That is all I remember. Like other thing I don't really remember.
One takeaway from that workshop.
But there is another thing I want to ask you, that if you ever had the opportunity to turn one of your books into a web series or a movie, which one would it be?
I think it will be Canvas of a Mind, because it's a psychological thriller. So I think that will really make a good web series. Yeah. If I had the resources, I would have produced it myself, but I don't have. So someone please produce it for me. You tell me about your books. Which one would you want to see as a web series?
If it's for kids, then the Backyard Tales would be the one I want to see as a web series. But if it's for young adults, then either it would be All Signs Lead Back to You or it would be When Our Worlds Collide.
May both our dreams come true and both our books get converted to web series. Yeah.
So this is another thing that I constantly face with my book, which is the first book that I ever wrote, The Secret Proposal. I keep ranting about what a bad male character I wrote because I was somehow very influenced by Bollywood toxic masculinity at that point of time. So he was being horrible to the girl and the girl is constantly in love with him. It has been years. I published the book back in 2012. It's 2020, I still get mails from people saying that I wish I get a guy like me. And I'm like, no, what have I done?
Oh my god. The same thing happens to me when I wrote Walking in the Streets. I was also like, it was in 2012. And the story that I wrote that time, the girl is like so damn confused. So confused. I mean, and still now I get mails from people who like tell me, please tell me what happened to her life. I like ended it in a cliffhanger. So even now they tell me, then what happened to her later? Please tell. And I'm like, oh my god, when will like this thing?
I feel like we are both haunted by our first book. Like the Secret Proposal legitimately haunts me.
Seriously, me too, because whenever someone tells me I'm reading your first book, I get a mini heart attack. Seriously. Especially like, if my current friends or acquaintances tell me that, okay, let's begin reading your first book. I'm like, no, don't read my first book. Please read my latest book. Don't read my first book. I'm like, oh my god, what I have written.
I do the same thing.
It happens to me a lot.
I will meet someone, they'll ask me that, oh, you've written books, so should I read the first book? No, man, read the book I have written now. I wrote that when I was
exactly.
so young. I was very young back then. It was 10, 12 years ago. Or lesser than that.
Exactly. So it really haunts because now we are a very different person, right? From the person that we were back then. So we cannot relate. So it really becomes,
So
I feel it so much.
So when do we see your NaNoWriMo out into the either Amazon or publishing world somewhere?
Yeah, hopefully next year. Yeah, because I will edit it this month after taking like a 1 week break. and then I'll send it out to the publishers and let's see where the book goes, where lies its destination. So I want to ask you one question.
Yes.
How do you feel like about the publishing scenario in India?
I used to work in a publishing house, so that used to be my first.
Generally, I'm just saying.
I think it's a very confused state. Like one publisher is going to tell you that this book, this genre is not something that I'm looking at. The other one will tell you that this is what is selling. So you get very confused feedback from everyone, and you can never tell.
Right.
Like one thing is in India, something I've noticed is unless you make it like really big, you need to have your day job and your writing will always be your side job.
Absolutely.
But in America or in UK, they sign you, they give you contracts and they are like, go, you're sorted.
Yeah, there the process is, I think, so much better. And I think they go through agents, right? Which in India, like, it's not that popular that way. So, So I also find this thing about the publishing scenario that sometimes it can really confuse you. Yeah. And seriously, unless you make it very big, there is no way you can rely on writing for like your bread and butter. Impossible to do that.
Oh, you can't.
So does that make you sometimes feel a little like hopeless, or do you feel that way that, oh my god, when am I going to make that big?
Every day. Because when I was younger, I didn't understand. We grew up looking at people like Agatha Christie, Enid Blyton, J.K. Rowling was a huge thing that we grew up with. And we literally saw her grow up. Now she's lost her mind. That's a different story. But to me, I did not know how the Indian publishing world was till I was a part of it. So that kind of told me that, okay, I can't quit my job. And it's been years, so I constantly feel like, when is my big break coming? When is that book coming, which is everybody's going to talk about it? But the thing is, I also realized that I like writing because I write because I like writing. I really love writing. And I have this steady group of people around me who love reading what I write. So I guess I found my focus audience and I am writing for them.
Absolutely. So I think this really sustains us, this love for writing. But we know that, whenever that break will come, it will come eventually. But now I'm enjoying the process and let me just enjoy it. Let me just keep on writing. So same for me. Although like sometimes I feel like, oh my god, especially when I see like some authors suddenly becoming like huge celebrities, and when I read them, I don't like their work that much. So I feel like, where am I going wrong, or how can I like reach that stage? And then I feel, who cares? I am enjoying the process, and that's what that matters. Yeah.
I also don't know too many women writers who've made it big. Like if you have this Durja Datta, and then there is, who are these other guys? Amish, there was another...
Ashwin Sanghi and Ravinder Singh.
Him, and there was this other guy, I remember we had gone to his A as well. The release. I can't remember his name for some reason, but he's a really cute guy. But there was this one time when Who?
Sumrit, like who wrote that Friends series, that Can a Girl and a Boy Be Friends? Like,
Sumrit Sahi. Oh, we were published by the same publisher. Then Rupa took him, but Rupa never got from taking leave.
Okay.
So, no, not him. He's not that cute. But
okay.
Put this up on YouTube. But no, I can't remember his name for some joy. Why can't I remember his name? I think it's Amish only. Amish, what's his surname?
Amish Tripathi. No. Amish Tripathi can't be.
I just remember him watching people get high on wine during his book reading. I don't know why we went, but okay. But I remember being very frustrated at one point in my career and telling my mom that I wish I was a boy. And she's like, what? And then I go, if I was a cute, good-looking boy, I would have made it. People would buy it for my face. And she's like, what is wrong with you?
Because when you see Durga Datta, you get that kind of impression only, right? Like he's flaunting his dimples And girls were going gaga and like buying his books. So
Think about
yeah.
Preeti Shenoy and Nikita Singh are the only two Indian female authors that I can think about right now, and I constantly, and then there are men author ka names running somersaults in my head. I was on Amazon today
Yeah.
and I found books written by various female authors, but I've never heard of them. But they have been published by Penguin, by Hachette, by really good,
Yeah.
really good publishers. So I'm like, how did you do it, and why are we getting rejected?
See, I think girls read a lot of books. I mean, this kind of books, romantic, chick lit. So I think when a cute guy writes it, I think there is that bias. All the girls run to buy those books. So maybe there lies the difference. Yeah, that's really unfair. Yeah.
That's also
Do you like enjoy reading like these writers' books? I mean, who is your favorite writer among them?
Sorry,
Like
who's my
Joy,
favorite writer among my friends?
No, among these writers is popular, very popular writers. Yeah.
This is the only time I
First of
read
all, do you
those.
read them?
I did.
Yeah, first of all, do you read them?
First of all, I read them when I was trying to break into the market because I wanted to check out the competition.
Yeah.
And I actually like Nikita Singh. Like I remember her first book, Love at Facebook, which was when she was too young when she wrote it. So it kind of shows in her writing. But I read her. One of her recent books was called Letters to My Ex, which was really good. I actually enjoyed that book. And Preeti Shenoy, I really love Preeti Shenoy's writing. She has this.
I also. She's one writer I really admire. Yeah, all her stories. I've been reading her for quite long. Yeah.
There was another female who had come. I think her name was Anjali Kripalani, and she.
Yeah, right. She wrote Never Say Never.
Never Say Never,
Yeah. I really enjoyed that book. I remember.
That book I really liked, yes. That was a debut novel.
Me too. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. The humor, it was amazing. Yeah, the pink color book, it was, I still remember the cover. Yeah.
In recent times, actually, there's this guy in Bombay itself. His name is Amay Bondre, and he wrote this book called Afsane, and it's a collection of short stories. I really enjoyed that book. And there is this one particular story I have written about that in my review as well, called Deaf, where I'm going to spoil the story. Sorry to everyone who might be wanting to read this book, but I remember this. There's this beautiful short story that he wrote about this guy and a girl, and this guy has been cheating on this girl for a long time, and she wants commitment. And on the other hand, so all this is happening in New York, and her sister is about to give birth in India, and the sister really needs this chick right now. And this guy tells her that no, I don't see this going anywhere. What are you doing? And she goes deaf. Like her reaction to the entire thing is she can't hear a single sound or anything because that is how phased she is. And he's described it so beautifully. Like if you're being broken up with in the middle of the road, the kind of reaction you would have.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Wow.
So I asked him what prompted it, and he's like, see, personal experience to ek hai. And then he asked me that, did you not realize that the guy has been cheating on her constantly? What was the foolish girl doing with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one book I really enjoyed reading.
Yeah. So what are you working on right now?
I have to finish writing the second part of the Backyard Tales. And the other book that I am having so I'm done with the first draft, I'm writing the second draft for it, is Rashi Ghoshal Will Find Her Prince Charming. Which should be...
Wow.
Yeah.
It will come out next year?
I hope so. Because it's actually a commentary about how horrible the dating scene in India is.
Oh, wow. Amazing. It is actually like, I don't understand all these dating apps. I feel like I am from another generation. Yeah, when I see, people using this dating apps, Bumble, Tinder, I just don't get this scene at all. Yeah. I'm
I'm
quite
pretty
old
good
school.
at the navigating the apps. It is convincing the other person that this could go somewhere is the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to read this book. And the name, I really like the name. Yeah. Will Rashi Ghoshal find her Prince Charming? Yeah.
No,
It's
no,
very
it's she
catchy.
will find her Prince Charming. Like, so the other thing is, I have
Okay.
been a little obsessed with the concept of a Prince Charming and the one, which people tell me that get out of it. Fairy tales and real life are two
Same
different.
here. Same here. I am a hopeless romantic. I'm like such a hopeless romantic that sometimes I feel like, क्या होगा मेरा? Yeah. So I can totally relate to it. I have been this way, I think, since I was 18, and now I'm 30, and I'm still the same.
That's okay. I have wanted to meet Prince Charming since I was very young. He's not turned up yet. So at this point, my friends keep sending me memes which says that Prince Charming has been hit by a bus. He's up a tree. Get up and go find him. He's lost and he's too stubborn to ask for. I've seen all those memes. Like he's too stubborn to ask for directions. So maybe you should go out and meet him halfway.
Yeah.
That's this thing I do for my stories. I always begin a chapter with a quote. For this particular book, I was looking for all the quotes that I could possibly find on Prince Charming. So one quote that I found was saying that he's not coming on a white horse, he's sitting on top of a turtle. So be patient.
Turtle. Yeah. That makes sense.
A lot of sense actually. Because I am 31 right now, and if he's not turned up, I don't know what he's doing.
He will turn up, I'm sure, after the pandemic. Hopefully. Now it's very easy to say everything after the pandemic. Like when people ask me, when are you getting married? I say after the pandemic, because no one knows when it will really end, right? So that is the safest answer. After the pandemic. When are you doing this? After the pandemic.
But a lot of people are getting married during the pandemic.
Seriously, like
Every time I log into Facebook, somebody's gotten married. Like, okay.
Yeah, and now there is a wedding season, and I think there will be more such pictures on Facebook. And I'm like, how do they get the guts to marry during the pandemic? How? Really?
Their logic is we'll die anyway, so might as well. But I do not want to get COVID while I'm getting married. That is supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, and note I said one of the. Because I refuse to believe it's just the happiest day of your life. It can't be. That's your birthday.
Yeah. Seriously, so many people are getting married in COVID. Like now they're wearing matching masks with their wedding outfits. Yeah, I saw one girl, wearing matching mask with her like Banarasi sari. Like,
Wouldn't
wow.
that would be wow. Like I was about to say, wouldn't
Yeah,
that make you really hot?
It was really looking very weird, and just imagine how uncomfortable that would be. Already like getting decked with that heavy sari and jewelry and whatnot, and then upar se ek mask. It's like really. But hats off to them, seriously, for that like willingness to marry in COVID.
The way I see it, the pandemic actually has made a few people extremely productive. Like I was going, when the complete lockdown happened, I went so crazy that I started working way more. And I am not only mean my office work. I adopted a cat, I started this series, I started writing way more. So for me, I wanted to challenge
you started the series. Yeah, you started the series this year in pandemic.
Yes,
yeah, for me also, productivity-wise, it was a good year that way because I wrote 2 books in this year, which is a huge thing for me. Like obviously the NaNoWriMo thing and then the mythological monologues I did, which started during the A to Z challenge in April. And then I started my podcast and also did a lot of work on my YouTube channel. So yeah, productivity-wise, it was quite good that way. Though I can't say that loudly to my friends, I have to always pretend, the platform is so horrible. But I know
I know,
that
I
it
know,
has
I
been
know what
great
you mean.
productivity wise.
But a lot of people struggle. So for us, I guess we were productive because we are used to being indoors and we are used to being by ourselves. Because I'm guessing you're an introvert.
Yeah. All most writers are, I guess. So I really enjoy being with my books and my laptop. I'm very happy that way.
Tell me a little about your podcast. I didn't know you have a podcast.
Yeah, it's the same. It's learning literature with Purva. Like what I do on YouTube, the same thing only, but the podcasts are like bite-sized episodes.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so for example, like in one episode, I'm talking about like a literary device. Yeah, for example, allegory or alliteration, and then types of fiction. So yeah, they are like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes bite-sized episodes. So which I do along with the YouTube channel thing, because I have seen that people who are staying abroad, like especially in US, Australia, they are very much into podcasts.
Yep.
They listen to a lot of podcasts. So in my podcast views, like I think more than 50% views comes from people outside India. So that's like really very, very encouraging. Yeah.
I'm glad. I really am. Like, it has been such a nice thing talking to you. Like I'm so excited. I am constantly told that I start things and I don't end it. So for me to end season 1 of Chai and Chill and start season 2 is like a huge achievement. And it's not. And I've faced setbacks. My cat sat on the laptop and broke the keyboard. It took me 3 months to figure out that external keyboard mein bas battery change karni hai, and that is how. Like, I literally was like this. I was like, wait, what if I change the battery? And then I'm like, okay, you're back. I'm just glad that despite 2020 being one of the worst years of everybody's lives, it has been a very good year for me. I am sorry, but it has.
Same here. It has been productivity wise very good. Very good. I'm very happy that way. High five. We both had productive years.
Thank you so much for joining me on Chai and Chill. You are my first guest for this season.
Much.
I'm so happy about that.
I'm also so happy that you invited me, and it was a blast chatting with you about so many things. Thank you so much.